Hey guys, Andy here from Mediocre Hobbies coming at you with some more orc goodness for Orktober. Now, unfortunately this video is a day late, so it is coming out in the 1st of November, which I do apologize for. This is my monthly video for Proxy Wars, one of the longest supporting companies towards this channel. So a big thank you to them for once again supporting another video for the channel. And in this video, I will be delving into their awesome backlog of miniatures to find something orky and getting it painted up for my new orc army. I've always wanted a Zagstruck miniature, but unfortunately they have stopped selling him quite a long time ago, and he's kind of hard to come by. So I went on their website, found an appropriate substitute for him, got him printed out, or got him ordered up, and I've started painting him for today's video. So hopefully you guys will enjoy seeing that come to fruition. Before I get into it though, I just want to say a huge thank you to all of my active sponsors, all of my active Patreon members and channel members. You guys are the ones keeping this channel alive, making sure that I can continue doing what I am doing. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much. If you want to get involved with things like that, they are all linked down in the description below. Patreon, become a channel member, or anything like that. Of course, it is also that magical time of year where I take on some commissions, so if you're interested in getting something painted up by me, please don't hesitate to send me an email or message me on Instagram Messenger and we can talk through the details. Okay, without further ado, let's dive in and get this awesome miniature painted. Okay, so this is the Big Boss with Jump Pack that I got my hands on from Proxy Wars. The parts come in a little baggie, and as per usual, they're all in good condition. There's obviously a couple of supports left in the tight spaces and in gaps and stuff like that. So I just keep a long tweezers. And I just pluck those out before I get to cleaning the rest of the miniature. The very quick stage. But yeah, really happy with the sculpt. Very orky, very much going to match in with the Games Workshop aesthetic. And I think be a very cool stand-in for Zagstruck. Now I'm not actually going to use him as Zagstruck. I have this idea of reading the Gotrek and Felix novels, and Deathmaster Snitch kept showing up, and also his minions, his acolytes, the guys that he trains in his art of warfare. And I wondered if Zagstruck would be the same. Things like Gazgul would see the value of Zagstruck and his Vulture Boys and want to kind of roll those out on a kind of a larger scale. So would some of the original Vulture Boys go off and lead whole squads by themselves, but they like to try and mimic Zagstruck's success, so they get the Bionics legs themselves and stuff like that. I like that idea, so I'll give this guy a different name, be a different kind of war boss. Not the named character, but very much fill the same role on the battlefield. I think that would be pretty awesome. So after I got the model all built and assembled and ready to rock and roll, he was sprayed. I used black and then a light grey primer to zenithal highlight over the top of that. Very quick stuff. I'm actually kind of moved over almost entirely to the Color Forge sprays now for this. Black and the ghoul grey just go really good for that whole process. Okay, so obviously when I'm doing 3D prints, I usually rely quite heavily on too thin coats paints because I just thoroughly enjoy the use of them. And I will be doing that again in this video, but I need them to match in with my original orc army, my new orc army, should I say. So I'm going to go through the same steps with him for the skin, which is all Games Workshop paints, which is Plague Bearer Flesh to start with. Berserker Bloodshed will then be the shade to kind of add a little bit of warmth onto it. And then it'll be a 3-stage highlight for the skin, which is a little bit excessive for orc skin. Obviously, you're going to have hundreds of miniatures in your army. And I've got currently, if you don't include the sprays, 5 stages for skin. Kind of insane, but I really like the result. So I'm going to continue doing it, and I love it very, very much. I'm also going to continue on to do the rest of the base coats of this miniature with normal contrast paints. So what I've kind of started to move towards these days, well, when I'm using too thin coats at least, is for the triad system, I still very much like to substitute the base paint for contrast paint. I just find it to be such an easy and a fast and effective and efficient way of getting models painted. So after the skin is done on this guy, I will go in with, Blood Angels red contrast and Wildwood contrast and Black Templar contrast and just block in all the rest of the base coats on this model. When those are all dry, then I'll jump up to the mid-tone and the highlight from the too thin coats range to get it looking swish and clean and nice, if that makes sense. Hopefully that makes sense. On to the second to last color, so the Ogren Camo for the skin. As you can see, every time I'm highlighting with this, I'm going kind of less and less. I've broken out one of my nicer brushes with a really sharp point, because obviously this guy's not just a regular orc grunt. He will probably lead an entire squad at some stage, so I want him to stand out, him to look really nice. So I'm going in with those really light highlights. Now, light highlights, yes, but not like the final highlights. So you still have to leave a little bit of room when you highlight this stage for the next coat. Do you know what I mean? Like if you do tiny dots, how are you supposed to highlight those tiny dots with the next coat? But as you can see, the skin tone is much more of like a natural orc tone, which I know is a weird thing to say. It's like if you took a cartoon of an orc. That's what the traditional orc scheme looks like. And then if you moved orcs over to like live action, what would the orc skin look like? And that's kind of what I'm going with. If it was on the big screen and this guy's actually looked like this and Henry Cavill was beating the crap out of them, what would the orc skin look like? And I'm going to go for that. Orcs are one of those fantastic armies that it's almost impossible to kind of copyright them. The aesthetical orc is out there in the world now, and a lot of companies seem to be able to draw from it, like World of Warcraft and Games Workshop and stuff, which means that when third parties do step in and do awesome additional sculpts and units and different tanks and all, like what Cromlech exists, we can just kind of go along with it and just add all these awesome extra models into our army without, I think, worrying about it getting taken down or having that cease and desist letter throw up to the door, which is really cool. It does allow a little bit of room for a little bit more kind of creativity. Like no two orcs should realistically look the same. The emphasis being on one company to try and produce enough orcs for us to have a completely varied army is kind of preposterous. So it is nice to be able to do this. Here I am, like I said, throwing on the rest of those base coats with contrast. The skin is now 100% done and it looks gnarly. He's just such a cool model. I very much get excited as I'm painting. And that very much kind of pulls through when I'm editing. I'm kind of remembering the feeling I have of like at this moment where the skin is done. I'm starting to block in all the other colors. I'm starting to see what the final vision of this model is going to look like. And it's just making me happy. So I'm going to continue doing that kind of thing. I definitely did not get everything I wanted to get done for Orktober. Like I didn't achieve my goal and then I went way over my goal, if that makes any sense. And I'll explain what I mean with that. When I started Orktober, I just had a very simple goal of doing 3 Deathcopters, 20 Ork Boys and a Battle Wagon. Those are the models that are sitting on my orc shelf with my orc army that are unpainted at the moment, and it's driving me nuts. So I started, I got another 10 boys done. They took way longer than expected. Not because they take a long time, it's just kind of dipping in and out of other projects. And man, did I have some big projects that month. But then I got offered a 3D printer and I decided to do a project on that. It had quite a large build play. I asked them if I could have quite a nice amount of resin. So they sent me 10 kilos of resin through. So I said, you know what, this is the time. So Legu, when they sent that out, I just couldn't not do it. And I had 3D printed the armor cast old school orc gargant, which is the same size as Stompa these days. And I got that whole thing, you know, printed out. It took days of printing and like 2.5 kilos of resin to do. And then, yeah, I got the whole thing painted up in a video. So although it wasn't on my original list at the beginning, I did get an orc stomp. And I did forget about that. Like 2 days ago, I was going back thinking about what I had done for Orktober. I was like, no, 10 boys. That's literally all I got done. Oh, wait a minute. I did a friggin' stompa. So yeah, I got 10 boys, a stompa, and this model completed. And I've got the skin done on another 5 orcs. It's still not quite where I want it to go. And I'm not sure whether I'm going to continue bashing through orcs for November and try and get just what I asked to do there. So get the other 10 orcs finished off, Battle Wagon and 3 Deathcopters. I think if I got those done, I would be really happy with the progress of the army so far. But I'm also very much aware that it is mid-November. I think that's how we're going to support and celebrate November. I think it's Tyrannid time. So I'll be doing a bunch of projects with that. I'm trying to decide if I want to go whole hog in and get 18 Van Ryn's Leapers done for that kind of incursion list that I wanted to do. I did get those miniatures recently, so it might be a really good excuse to get those done. But then also we'll be doing a Proxy Wars video for this month as well, and we'll definitely be doing one of their awesome Tyranids. So I don't know, maybe I'll plow on with the orcs, or maybe I will jump in for Tyranids. Maybe you guys can help me with that decision down in the comments below. That would help me out quite a lot. So as you can see, we've gotten the red highlighted. We are now in the process of highlighting the black with the Dark Reaper and the Dungeon Stone Grey colors. Obviously, we keep showing that we're painting his like trousers in that, but obviously I'm doing his peaked cap in that as well. And his peak cap with the banding got the same red treatment. The Sanguine Scarlet and the Demon Red with those coats as well. I love how the red versus that orc skin looks. I think they sit together really well. I didn't base coat it originally, but then I did decide to go in whole hog. I was going to go for like a metal jump pack, but I was like, no, they would definitely paint these things, and red and yellow seems to make the most sense to be rich and be fast. So those are the two colors that I slapped across the orc jump pack. And then of course into highlighting the warm browns from Two Thin Coats to get those straps done. He does have quite a lot. Obviously he's got his harness holding his jump pack on. It's just a cool model. Genuinely very much an enjoyable project, and there's a lot of other sculpts out there on the Proxy Wars website that I'll be having a look at and seeing if I want to add to the force. Because like I said, the uniqueness of an orc army I think is super important. Okay, we are really starting to see how this model is looking now. What do you guys think about it so far? Do you like this sculpt? Do you like the stuff that Proxy Wars does? Have you checked out Proxy Wars? Yeah, I recommend you go check out the website at the very minimum. Take 5 minutes of your time. Well, I say 5 minutes of your time. You'll fall down a deep dark hole and appear on the other side. They do lots of stuff for Warhammer 40,000, Warhammer Fantasy. So much stuff for Warhammer the Old World that just like it's a great place to get miniatures for that. Sandstone and Templestone brought in for his kind of fur-lined jacket, and of course the straps on his right wrist. Yeah, they've got a whole host of stuff for like Eldar and Dark Eldar, and even stuff for Lord of the Rings. Not a lot of people get alternate sculpts for the Middle-earth strategy battle game, but these guys have got what you need, which is kind of incredible because like Warhammer the Old World's getting a little bit easier to get models for now as Games Workshop brings out more and more and more sets, but they're still way behind on a bunch of stuff. So Proxy Wars is definitely something that I use. And the Middle-earth strategy battle game, as you know, they've just announced they're taking a huge selection of the miniatures off the website. And a lot of people will be scrambling to get their hands on them and will fail, unfortunately. Some of the stuff is already out of stock. eBay prices are going to soar for those. So having an alternative, like these days, there's not a lot of games actually happening in official Games Workshop locations. So using third-party miniatures seems to be kind of, it's a thing that's going to become more and more prevalent, I think. Let me know what you think about that as well. Like I said, I'm all for official Games Workshop miniatures. I really am. I love what they do. I love the company. I worked with them for 15 years and I had nothing but good experiences. But I think they are shooting themselves in the foot with this. Okay, with all of the base coats and all the layering and all the highlighting done on all those nice rich colors, it's time to just finish it off by getting those metallics done. So I started with the plate mail, I think that's what it was called. So we're going to fill that in on all the metallic parts across the miniature. And then we're going to go with that nice bronze color on some of the other details. Got like a trench knife style hatchet cleaver thing. It's a very brutal weapon to imagine him landing in amongst your troops and swinging and hacking with that. It's kind of terrifying. And then I picked out a couple of other details in his legs and like pistons and stuff like that with the same color. Then Oblivion Black Wash was thrown over all of those metallic parts. And once those were dried, we just went in with the nice Surcoat Silver to add a very quick highlight to it. While I was waiting for the shade to dry, I also did finish basing the miniature. So obviously I just put the Dark Earth from AK over the base. Then I dry brush it with Rise of Rust and then dry brush it with Ushapti Bone. It's a very quick technique to get, I think, very nice aesthetically pleasing bases. Obviously rim it black as well. And then like I said, coming in with that plate armor color and just adding a quick touch highlight to the metallic parts, making them pop a little bit. You can obviously go grimmer and darker if you want. But I quite like the look of it. And we are coming in on the finish result. Obviously, this new war boss is going to also need a name. Zagstruck is who he has kind of modeled himself off of. So I would imagine as some sort of like homage, his name should be something close to that. Struckzag or maybe orc mentality, you never know. Here's the finished result of my new orc jump war boss thing. more like a lieutenant, if you will, leading his version of the Vulture Boys. Maybe it's just a whole other wing of Vulture Boys. Who knows? All I can say is I had a lot of fun painting it. I'm really pleased with the result. It is already on my orc shelf, looking great and matching in with the rest of them pretty damn well. A couple of still images to give you guys an example, like I always do, of what he might look like on the tabletop. And yeah, I am happy out. Please do let me know if you want me to do some Tyranids for November, or if there's anything else you would like to see. And also remember that I'm currently open for some commission slots. So if you're interested in having anything painted by me, please don't hesitate to reach out via Instagram Messenger or via email. Okay guys, and there we have it. The awesome stand-in for Zagstruck is now fully painted. I had such a blast painting him. Great miniature. Got to use my Too Thin Coats paints, which you know I'm a big fan of, and I'm really happy with the result. He will now sit on my orc shelf as another model ticked off for Orktober. Because although it is the 1st of November, I did finish painting him yesterday. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure you check out Proxy Wars, linked down in the description below. They have an absolutely crazy extensive selection of 3D printed miniatures to order. And they are not the STL files, they are the physical prints. So if you like to look at this miniature, you want to add them to your orc collection, it's very easy to get your hands on them. Okay guys, thank you so much for sticking around to the end of the video. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, give the video a like, ask me any questions you want in the comments, and make sure you're subscribed. Also, don't forget to check out things like Patreon channel membership, linked below. Thank you guys for sticking around. See you in the next one.